Hello, Sprouts. All right, today we're going to get a lesson on telling time. We'll start off reviewing half past, and then we will talk about quarter past, or quarter till. So when we think about our clock, ta-da, here's our clock. When we look at our clock is a circle. We know that it starts at 12. This is the o'clock. When we have our minute hand pointing to the 12, and whatever our hour hand is pointing to, in this case it's 6, so it'd be 6 o'clock, right? But when we talk about half past, we look at our clock, and it's kind of doing it now, how it's like our fraction circle. So this is, we see our fraction circles in the classroom. This one is our half family. Our circle is cut into 2 equal pieces right down the middle here, half. And that's how it is with our clock. When our minute hand, because our whole is the 60 minutes all the way around, so half of that, our minute hand would be pointing down here to the 6. So imagine that there's that imaginary line going from the 12 down to the 6, cutting our clock in half. So in this case, now our clock reads 7:30. And that's how we would say that, 7:30. Okay? We go back up and we have 8 o'clock. We go back down halfway, 8:30. Now if you remember, how many minutes are in an hour? That's right, there are, you can see up here, there are 60 minutes in an hour. So half of our 60 is 30. So we can read this as 8:30 or 8:30. Those are our 2 ways to write it. And we remember that we write our time 8, our 2 dots, 30. Okay, and our digital clocks will just tell us this. If you look on your phone will tell you what time that is. That's what we call digital time. Oh, my glare. Here, you can see it. All these light glares. Ugh. So here you can see it. If you can read it, it says 5:23. It's that 5:23. Whereas our clocks are what we call analog. All right. So this should be a review. We learned this in 1st grade of half past. 8:30. We're going to keep going. Now we're at 9 o'clock. 9:30. My clock is squeaky. 10 o'clock. 10:30 or 10:30. All right. So looking at our guided practice here. Corresponding with your follow-up work that is included on the seesaw. That light is really coming in. That's definitely not helping. Darn it, this is like the only place I don't have a table. This is my coffee table I'm sitting down at, so this is kind of my only option to do this. All right, so hopefully you can see okay. It says you can show time to the half hour. 1 half hour is 30 minutes. These clocks show 2:30. So here you can see our hour hand is pointing in between the 2 and the 3. Our minute hand is at the 6. And you can see how it's shaded in yellow, showing you that this is 2:30. And just also a good reminder, you saw it also on the clock when I was going around, the hour hand will point directly at the 2 when it is 2 o'clock, but the hour hand is also moving. So I think a lot of times we can get confused on our clocks. So like here, for example, it's 10:30, but it looks like our hour hand is starting to point to the 11, but it's not 11 o'clock yet. So it's not 11 until this minute hand goes all the way back up to the 12. Not quite. Now it's 10:59. Now it is 11 o'clock. Because as this minute hand goes around, you can see the hour hand is also slowly moving. And so it should be halfway between the 11 and the 12 now. It's 11:30. So that hour hand is also showing that. The hour hand is pointing to it's halfway past the 11. Okay? So just remember that. It's not the next hour until it's the next hour. Okay. So we see those two clocks. On our analog clock, this shows 2:30. The hour hand points between 2 and 3. The minute hand points to the 6. And here on our digital clock, we just see it right there, 2:30. It is 2:30. All right? So we'll work through this together. This is just like your independent work. You have a page of clocks looking like this, and then there's a page with some word problems that it's the same concept on doing half past. So number 1 here, we see our hour hand is pointing in between the 9 and the 10. Our minute hand is pointing to the 6. So that is telling us it is 9:30. So we write that 9:30, 9:30. Okay? Number 2. We see our hour hand pointing in between the 1 and the 2. Our minute hand is at the 6. So that means it is 1:30 or 1:30. 1:30. And finally, number 3, we see our hour hand pointing in between 6 and 7, and our minute hand is at the 6, so it is 6:30 or 6:30. 6:30. It is 8:30. Explain what half past means. That means what? If we look at our clock from 1 to 12 as the whole, our 60 minutes, it's halfway between 1 hour to the next. All right, let's cut. There's 60 minutes in an hour. It cuts our hour in half past. Okay, so there's 2 pages. Like I said, a page doing problems like this, and then a page of word problems for half past. We're going to go right into doing time to the quarter hour. And I went ahead and grabbed our fraction circles for quarter. So we can see this is our quarter family. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. And gravity. So it's a demonstration of gravity too. All right, so here our circle is divided into 4 equal parts into fourths. So on a clock, it's still, our line that goes straight down the middle is still going to be our half past, but this will read quarter past and this will read quarter till. So I'll show it on the clock. So let's go ahead and start up here. Let's start at 1 o'clock. All right, so we have 1 o'clock. If we divide our clock into quarters, we know that our half goes here to 6. So our minute hand, when our minute hand is on the 6, that's half past. Cutting it this way into fourths now, when our minute hand is on the 3, we can read that 1:30. I'm sorry. Oh no. 1:15. It is 1:15. Or we see here, if our hour is 60 minutes, a quarter of that hour is 15 minutes. So we can read that 2 ways. 1:15 or 1:15. Okay. Now it is what time? That's right, 1:30 or 1:30. Now when our minute hand goes to the 9, again, we're at a quarter. This time, it is a quarter till. We'll say it's a quarter till 2 o'clock or 1:45. Okay, so those are 2 ways we could say that. Quarter till 2, it's a quarter until. We have one more quarter, and sorry, there's a little, it won't stay. Imagine that staying at the 9. We have one quarter until it's the next hour, until 2 o'clock. All right? So quarter till 2 or 1:45. All right, let's do a little bit more of that. So now we're back up at 2 o'clock. At o'clock. We've got, what time is it? 2:15 or 2:15. 2:30 or 2:30. Now we see it's a quarter till 3 or 2:45. And then one more quarter to be back up at 3 o'clock. Okay? So that's what it looks like on our clock. Let's do our guided practice. So here we see, again, we've got a clock split into quarters, just so you can see it. So if our minute hand, our hour hand is here, and our hour hand is pointing to the 3, that would read 1:15. Okay? Here's our guided practice. It reads, you can show time to the quarter hour. There are 15 minutes in a quarter hour. There are 4 quarters. There are 4 quarter hours in an hour. There's 4 quarters in $1. We learned about quarters. And there's 4 quarter hours in an hour. Quarter means fourth. Okay? So here we have 4 clocks. We went through, they show there's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Here's 1:15 or 1:15. So it's 1:15, 1:15. Here we've got our 1:30 or 1:30. And quarter till 2 or 1:45. And our minute hand's pointing there to the 9. You see how it's shaded in 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Okay, it says use the little clock there. Tell what time is shown, write the time. So we have our hour hand is pointing a little past 11. Our minute hand is on the 3. So that means it's what time? That's right, it's 11:15. And we would write that as 11:15. 1 quarter past is 15. Okay, here we've got our hour hand pointing in between 8 and 9 and our minute hand at 6. So we remember that that's 1/2 that's 2 quarters. 2 quarters is half. 8, and we write that as 8:30. And then number 3, our hour hand is close to the 7, but it's not on the 7 yet. And our minute hand is at the 9, so that means it's 7:15. And we would write that as, anybody remember? That's right, we write it as 6:45. 3 quarters of an hour is 45 minutes. 1 quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. 2 quarters of an hour or half an hour is 30 minutes. 3 quarters of an hour is 45 minutes. And 4 quarters of an hour is a whole, which is 60 minutes. Da, 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 da. All right. And at 4:15, where is the minute hand? That's right. Our minute hand is pointing to the 3. How do you know? Because that is our first quarter. Okay. So that is the lesson on half hour and quarter hour. You have 2 pages of follow-up work for half hour and 2 pages for quarter hour, and assigned work in IXL. Enjoy practicing your time. We'll see you next time.